What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things Interviews.
With Shawn and Andrew.
Today we have two of our friends, which is also, we have found, it makes for a hard interview. Because in the back of my mind, I'm so comfortable. And for the most part, with friends, I don't want to say don't care about their professions. But like we know them so much on like a human level, not the like profession level, that sometimes I have a hard time asking them questions. We're talking about the Doleacs, Adam Doleac and MacKinnon Doleac. Adam is a phenomenal country music artist.
Phenomenal.
Who just dropped his new single, which is Bar Named Jesus. If you haven't heard it, you have to go listen to it.
Him and Thomas Rhett. Regardless, this was a phenomenal interview with
was.
Adam and MacKinnon. We really enjoyed the conversation, and we hope you do as well. If you want to learn more about Adam and MacKinnon, we'll link their information down below, as well as a link to the new song, Bar Named Jesus. Enjoy this one with the Doleacs.
Let me ask you all this. Do you consider audiobooks reading?
Yeah.
I don't. He
do.
does.
I do not. You did not read. You did not use your eyeballs.
He listens to audiobooks while he sleeps.
Okay.
No, you didn't.
I'm
You
like, no, you
listened.
didn't.
Let me present this to
You
you, though.
listened.
When you read, though, are you saying the words to yourself in your
Yes.
brain? Okay, so you're not
But-
actually reading.
But
You're saying the words to
using your
yourself.
eyeballs to
You did-
consume it and then reading it in your head. But with an audiobook, you're straight up just listening to words. You listen to a podcast, which is the same thing as an audiobook.
No.
Yeah, it's not reading. If there's audio, it's not reading.
I'm
No.
just saying there's
In my
different
opinion.
classes.
Reading is like this.
Yeah.
Well, and you know when people say,
You
"Oh,
can
I read
listen.
100 books this year," I'm like, "No, you freaking didn't.
You listened
listened
to
to
'em.
100 books."
Adam and MacKinnon, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having
Hi.
us.
I don't want to bring up bad memories, Adam, but I think these are the same pants I wore when we went golfing, and I had the worst round starting off. But then you and
I was gonna say this is a good memory.
we rallied, dude.
Yeah.
We had an epic comeback. It was so much fun.
I actually thought about it this morning because I was trying to figure out what the situation was. I think we were like 4 down after 4.
Was
Playing
this
in-
day 1 or 2?
2.
Day two.
Day
Yeah.
2.
During our spa experience.
Day 1
I was
was
like, y'all
was
had
kind of
better day than
tragic
we
for
did.
all of us.
Yeah.
But day
Yeah.
2 we were down 4 after 4.
Yeah.
And then came back and were either even or down 1 on number 9
Yeah.
and doubled down
Oh.
and won.
Good
It was
memories.
epic. That's a good memory.
I remember Andrew coming back giddy.
We were
like
giddy.
a child.
We were giddy.
It was
My
unbelievable.
God.
Also,
y'all
Andrew
bet?
was getting picked up after that. Like, we only played 9 because you had to
Yeah.
go.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
on
yeah.
number
Yeah.
like 8 fairway,
yeah.
here comes the plane that's picking him up, flying in. And we're just waving at the plane. It was awesome.
So we took a couples weekend retreat, I
Yes.
guess, which we'd never done anything like that, but that was a good time.
We did not know any of y'all.
That was our intro to the
Yeah.
group.
We did not know it. Well, we had
Yeah.
met Sally and Walker at dinner. We
Yes.
had like a dinner date. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, "You want to go on a golf trip with our friends?" We were like, "I mean, I guess, sure."
Yeah.
Can we bring
I
our
thought it was
baby
awesome.
along?
I'm ready to do it again.
Yeah, it was
I'm
fun.
ready to do it again.
And
Me
y'all
too.
let us bring Jack. It was supposed to be the weekend with like all
No,
the parents
Jack-
with no
No
kids.
kids.
And we
Jack
show
became
up
my
with
new
our
best
little,
friend.
I
what
know.
was he, 6 months old at that point or
Yes.
something like that?
He
That
looks
is-
like Jack.
He
Yeah.
does. That's who he was
With
for
like the
Halloween.
little spike.
I don't know if y'all saw that, but it was the best Halloween costume.
It really
Was he actually Jack Jack?
Oh yeah.
Seriously?
We'll get you some
Oh,
pictures.
God.
You
He
can
also, we
pop
put
it
the
in.
little mask on him, and we were for sure I was like, he's gonna rip it off. Kept it on the entire night for
Oh my
hours.
gosh.
Seriously?
Yes. He had little ridges like burned into his
Oh.
sides from wearing it all night. It was really
Cute.
cute.
Wow.
He is Jack Jack. We just
He's-
actually introduced him to the Incredibles movie.
Yeah.
He didn't watch
Mm.
it, but
Yeah.
he listened.
Jack was a
You heard
highlight
it?
of the weekend, but by far one of my favorite parts was the private concert we got from
I
Adam.
know.
And
Well, I brought the guitar.
A little acoustic
Yeah.
sesh?
Yeah.
it was amazing. And to
Yeah.
have MacKinnon sit there and give color to the songs was also really special. It
know.
was so much fun.
You had the
and-
muse and the player right there in the same room.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we got the first take, one of the early debuts
Yes.
of why we're here today, which is Bar Named Jesus.
Did I play it that
You
night?
played it
You
that
did?
night.
I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it was good.
I was trying to think.
That had to have been one of the first times ever even
I
trying
think
to
you may
play
have
it.
had to like look up the lyrics, but
Yeah, probably.
Just
That
to
would have been one of the
triple
first times ever trying it.
Yeah.
So
You said you like feedback. It's a great one. Like, it's terrific.
thank you.
10 out of 10.
I'm really proud of that song. It's also in my world. I write a song a day a lot of times. So I have a Dropbox folder, which I've sent you guys as well.
Yes.
Smaller Dropbox folder, but
Mhm.
I've got a bigger one with 1,000 songs on it. And so a lot of songs get wasted and a lot of songs get pitched to other artists. I've written songs for Dan and Shay and Lainey
Mhm.
Wilson and Nate Smith and Gabby Barrett and Kane Brown. There's a bunch of people. Normally when I write a song, I pitch it immediately because I'm not that connected to a song.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to cut it, that's amazing. Let them cut it. I'll write another one. Bar Named Jesus is the only song in my life I've ever written that I was immediately like, do not pitch this song. This is my song. I want this song. I will not give it away. Tim McGraw could call right now and try to cut it, and I would say no. Like I just think this song's that important, both for me and just for me to release and get out into the world. And so I'm proud of this one, and I'm glad you guys liked it too.
What inspired it?
It's something I've never really written about. I've been lucky to write a bunch of songs that impacted couples and have been first dance songs and have meant a lot to people, but I've never really written about my personal life in the way of Jesus and faith and that kind of thing. And I think it comes with just getting older, getting more mature, growing up in that, and writing about stuff that really matters more to you. And so I had that title, Bar Named Jesus. I knew when I saw the title, I loved it. I knew it could either be really bad, we could write it really cheesy and bad, or we could write a really special song. And so I wrote it with Josh Jenkins and Chris LaCourte. And Josh is kind of my pipeline to Jesus guy. When I have an idea that I feel like needs to be in touch with Jesus, I take it to Josh because he's so good at that. And it took us 8 hours to finish that song. It was two different sessions, but we started with the title and kind of worked backwards. I remember the first line we got was "Where the well ain't whiskey and it don't run dry," and then we like "Where the light stays on and there's always room for one more inside," and we're like, okay, these lines are universal. This is like shareable. And what we ended up with is a story that I think will bring people to Jesus, which is bigger than anything I've ever put on paper. I think if one person finds Jesus because of one of my songs, awesome. And that's what I hope happens with this.
Is 8 hours the normal amount of time, or is that a lot? Or?
Is that a lot or a little?
That's long.
Okay.
I would say 2 to 4 hours is normal.
For just writing an entire song?
I would say 4.
4, but they can come out in 2. They can,
for sure.
They can fall out fast. 4 is like your everyday. Most people write from 11 to 3 or 4 o'clock every day.
And is that just like a discipline you have, or is that
it's kind of
you
like,
have that much going on in your brain that you have to get it out every day?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in there.
I probably don't even get it all out every day. But I would say like that's just kind of what you would call a day job. Like I'm an artist and a songwriter, so the weekend is kind of one job where you're going to play shows and touring and that stuff. Your day job during the week, you normally have a publishing deal and you're writing songs for that company. And it's kind of like, normal people would be 9 to 5. A songwriter's world is like 11 to 3, 11 to 4, 4 or 5 days a week.
And you have deliverables with the publishing deal. It's like you have to write us X amount of songs.
Yes, but it's actually, guess how many songs a year you think it would be?
50.
It's way lower.
20.
What?
10,
Lower.
5.
You ain't never
McKinnon's
like,
Really?
She goes, "Why are you leaving the house so often?" No, so here's how it works. It's 13 songs a year. It's normally.
Wow.
13.
Wow.
But
I could write 13.
please do. I'd
That's
love to hear
actually
them.
not true.
I'd love to hear
I
them.
couldn't. No, I could write.
Go write
3.
13 and turn them into us, and we'll come back and listen on the podcast.
I would be fired.
It's so if the 4 of us write a song, that is 1/4 of a song. But that's me writing 25% of one song.
I forgot. Okay.
And so it's 13 100% songs. So really 13 times 4. Do the math.
No.
She's not very good.
52. That was pretty good. Pretty good.
How'd you do it? I did double 13 and then double.
I did the literal like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Cross
you 2
multiply.
carried the 1.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Visual.
You mentioned a lot of your songs are about love, first dance songs. I want to hear how this team came to be, because I imagine there's a lot of inspiration that has been drawn from your relationship.
Most of my inspiration comes from this relationship for sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell it or me?
Or I can tell it.
Yeah, let's have.
He
Tell it.
normally leads in with "We met on Broadway," which
Nice. It's a nice curveball.
it is, but
But-
people are like, "Oh, that fun," and I'm like, "No." So this was 2017.
February.
February, but I worked for a company. It was a startup company down in the Pinnacle building on 3rd Avenue. So technically Broadway-ish. And it was a interesting little place. This was obviously pre-COVID. Post-COVID, it probably would have been the coolest place. Basically, it was a studio where people could come and play like acoustic shows, but it was all live streamed
Oh, interesting.
in 4K. There's a whole like very technical, but a studio room where they would, do all these things, and they would live stream it around the world so people could watch all of these artists play.
Yeah, it was a little before its time.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we had artists like Kane Brown, Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, like all these people came in. This was before they had even put out music at the time. And Adam came to, so I was the event coordinator. So I would basically run the whole show other than the actual music side. And it was on a Thursday.
February 23rd.
Jacob Bryant was the artist, I think it was.
Wow.
Yep.
Yes, Jacob
And
Bryant.
he came with a friend of his to the show. And I just remember, from my perspective, like, I obviously saw people coming, in and out of there, in and out of whatever. He came in and I was kind of like, he cute. Like, who is this guy? And I knew the guy that he was with. I kind of just asked around. I was like, who is that? Who's that guy? And found out his name. And then I looked him up on Instagram. His account was private, which...
Different time.
Yeah, different time.
Interesting.
It was
Wow.
private, and his bio said Sony ATV.
Oh, this is funny.
Which, in the music world, that is a publishing company. I thought he, wrote ATVs.
Literally thought I was just writing four-wheelers for a living.
Or, worked for, an ATV company. I don't know. I knew nothing about the publishing world. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. Whatever. And so then everybody, all my, people I worked with, go talk to him. I was like, I literally couldn't. I don't know what to say. You're cute. I just panicked. So I didn't say anything.
Which makes so much sense
Yeah.
now. Such a panic.
And I just overthink everything. So I was like, I truly don't know what to say. So I didn't say anything. And then at the time, Stormy Warren, I don't know if y'all, I'm assuming y'all know who that is. He was the MC for all of our events. He and I had a conversation probably 2 weeks prior that I was single and that I was potentially going to move back to Dallas, just to be with all my college friends, just wasn't really into the Nashville scene. So he knew this going into this evening. Do you want to tell your perspective?
Yeah,
I guess?
I'll jump in here. So then at this point, I'm doing the same thing she's doing. I see her. I'm like, oh, who is that? I'd love to meet her, etc. And the only person I knew there, aside from the guy I was with, was Stormy. And I'd seen them talking. So I went to Stormy and I'm like, hey, who is that? What's her name? Does she have a boyfriend? I'd love to meet her. He goes, yeah, her name's MacKinnon. And immediately I was like, oh my God, what a cool name. I've never heard that name. Fast forward to a few years later, walking into one of her family events, everybody's named MacKinnon. So it's like,
Yeah, really? Large family. Yes.
But anyway, so he goes, her name's MacKinnon. But unfortunately she's got a boyfriend. And so I'm like, God, okay. So we were leaving. I go outside and I went back in to try to do the bump into. Yeah. And I was going to hit her with hey, I've already done my research. I know you have a boyfriend, but just wanted to say you're beautiful or something like that. And I never ran into you. I think I did
really
2 or 3
smooth.
times. I went into pee 3 times and never ran into you.
Yeah.
Now I know there was that back room. That's probably where you were. So I left. We were standing outside. The event was over. And what was your friend's name that came out? Courtney came out. And she super awkwardly hands me and my group of friends I'm with these brochures from Teal.
Yeah, it was Aurora.
Aurora.
Yeah.
And she is super weird. She's like, we're sorry, we have to hand all these out before you leave. It's just a company policy or whatever. And we're all like, okay. I'm walking to the trash can and throw it away. And I look on the back and there's a number on the back of mine and not on the back of everybody I was with. MC was Stormy's co-host on SiriusXM. So she was there as well. So I text her. I'm like, hey, is this MacKinnon's number? And she goes, yeah, that's it. So I'm like, what the heck? Thought she had a boyfriend. And then I ended up texting you that night.
Didn't you text the wrong number?
Yes, because your handwriting is trash.
Handwriting is not trash.
Your fours and nines look the exact
dicey.
same. It's not trash. You have good handwriting, but your fours and nines get a little mixed up.
Yeah.
So I sent it and I said something. You still have a screenshot of it, but I was really hoping there's a MacKinnon on the other end of this line, blah, 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 blah. And you texted me back that night.
Yeah. The event ended at 10 or 11. So by the time you text me, it was probably 11:30 midnight.
I was still out on Broadway, most likely.
Yeah.
She texted me back, and I think one of the reasons I got her was because I immediately said, I don't want to speak to you again on text. I don't like texting people that I don't know how they sound or how they're saying things. So I said, I'll pick you up Sunday night. I don't want to talk to you again until then, because I was flying out the next morning, so I got back.
I was so glad he said that. I despise texting people. I mean, at that time, when you're in the dating world, dating people, and then them saying something, and you're like, ooh, that was so cringy. But if you had met them in person or talked to them in person,
you don't know how they mean
it.
Yeah.
So I was really happy that happened.
So I said, I'll pick you up Sunday. I went to Fairhope, Alabama, where my brother lived for the weekend.
His birthday.
It was his birthday. That's right. And told my entire family that I was going to marry this girl that I haven't talked.
Way.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
like
gosh.
a complete psychopath, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they probably thought I was.
And you technically
nuts.
hadn't met yet, right?
Had not met.
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
seen her and we texted once.
Yeah.
That was it. And I knew I liked her name.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also couldn't find many pictures of you. I couldn't do a search.
I was probably private too. Who knows?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I came back Sunday. We were supposed to go on a date. She blew me off for
I didn't blow you off. I just canceled.
for her grandfather, which I liked actually.
Yeah.
And then we went on a date Monday, February 27th. We went to Skull's Rainbow Room.
Nice.
Oh yes.
I was determined to take this girl somewhere that I had never been on a date before. I don't know why. I guess because I
Was
wanted it to
that
be our
difficult to
place.
find?
Yeah, how short is that list?
It's difficult to find.
Listen,
Yeah, I was like, I
that's
mean,
the other part of
geez.
this. I felt like at this moment in my life, I had dated, or not
You
really.
gave up girls for Lent.
I had literally just decided
my
to give up
God.
talking to any females for Lent. I was
Wow.
like, I'm not going to do it. I need a break. I need to give myself some space. And I think I met you or not met you, but saw you the next night.
I was like, hi.
So we went on that date, sat there for 4 hours,
Mhm.
talked about things we probably shouldn't talk about on a first date.
Yeah, we got deep.
Kids, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You barely ate anything.
I had, like, 2
remember
crab
you had
cakes,
crab
and, like, I
cakes and
ate
had
4
like 4 bites.
I was
And
afraid
then-
like my stomach would hurt or like
Mhm.
losing your teeth. And then we went to Cookout and got milkshakes. So I mean, I
We went to
clearly
Cookout
wasn't
and got
that
milkshakes.
worried.
That's a solid first
After.
date. That's a solid
It was a good first date. It was a good first date.
I think I kissed you on our first date.
Yeah, you pretty much kissed me. Yeah, you
Hey.
did.
Yeah. I pretty much
Another
kissed him
thing-
too.
Yeah.
But I like panicked. It was like that awkward. You're standing
Theme,
outside
common
saying
theme.
goodbye, and you're kind of like, that makes me cringe thinking
I
about
know.
the moment where you're like, oh, we're just gonna stand here and sway back and forth, and like, who's gonna do it? And I was like, screw it, landed one on you.
Did it? Yeah.
Wow.
And then she moved in 7 months later.
Yeah, that was.
So
Wow.
that was idiotic, most likely.
Did it confirm you're gonna marry her that night? In
Oh
your,
yeah,
in the
I
back of
was
your mind, you were
I was that way the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time. Told my friends, I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl.
Yeah, I pretty much was too.
You were more than I realized. We
Yeah.
went back and found messages. I don't know when this was the other day.
It was like the other day.
I found one that she sent me like, what'd you say? I think I kind of want to marry you. Is that too much?
See,
it was like the fourth. It was like the 4th or 5th day or
But
something.
in
It
our
was-
relationship, like he's definitely the romantic one.
Yeah.
So anytime I say anything remotely like sweet or romantic, he freaks or he'll like mention it multiple times.
But notice I screenshotted
So he
it.
screenshotted it and sent it to me and was like, "Wow, you were romantic."
Yeah,
Like,
she's more of
yeah.
a quiet type, but
Wow.
Yeah, not my speed as much, but
yeah, words of affirmation not her. I'm more that than she is.
yeah. So that was 8 years ago,
Hmm.
on the 27th.
Yeah, we just celebrated 8
Yeah.
years.
And been married how long?
December was 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is gonna sound so old school, but I miss those moments, the interactions where it's like you write your number on a brochure and that first
Mhm.
exchange. Now
I
it's like
know.
you look them on the internet.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so
It's like
glad we
slide
met
in the
that
DM.
way.
I know.
I
We
always,
were like
yeah.
right on the cusp too.
yeah.
Like the fact that you were private on it, which is so stupid that that's like
Mhm.
a, prerequisite, but
Yeah.
it was nice that thought you were doing ATV stuff, not music. So
I don't know what's brought it up recently, but we have talked a lot lately about what if we were in the dating scene now? Like
Mm.
it seems so much harder.
so
Seems
hard.
miserable.
I would be very bad at it.
I also feel like there's way too many options now
Mhm.
where people are so obsessed with this idea of like, I might bump into someone that I like, but there's still 500 I can
Yeah.
sift through on the internet. Should I compare them? I just
Mm.
can't imagine it.
Yeah.
Like, did y'all have a mutual connection? You
Yeah.
told us this
My
story.
brother.
We had a mutual
Yes.
connection.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a big piece where people there's like someone can vouch for that other person, which even though it wasn't like close friends, we had 2 people that we were mutually connected with. And I was kind of like, okay, if he's a normal person, he's not a creep or any of those
Yeah.
things. Like, okay, I can go on a date with him.
Stormy
Be
still
safe.
hasn't told us why he's told me that she had a boyfriend.
We asked him. And
I
he
ask
just
him all the time.
giggled.
I've asked him like 3 or 4 times, and he just
Yeah.
skirts around it and never says anything of substance.
Yeah.
He's just
Interesting.
he might have just had a few too many Chardonnays that night or
That's
something.
Maybe.
funny.
I don't know.
His
not
nickname
really
can
sure.
be Shardy sometimes.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I
What a
think so.
terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stormy. I think that
Terrible.
the dating scene to me feels awful. There's too many options. There's also too much information.
Yeah.
Where like when any situation you're not forming your own opinion about somebody is bad. And I feel like now if you meet somebody, maybe you have an hour with them that night or 2 hours, and then you go home and you dig up everything you can find on them, and you form this other opinion without
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all kind of just skewed. I think that would be what's so bad about it.
From every aspect, you have LinkedIn, and you can see
Mhm.
what skills people are
Mhm.
endorsing you for. It's like, well, she's not a good presenter. She's not a good public speaker.
Yeah, like
You even have like captions, like
Yeah.
how they're texting and how their humor
Mhm.
is like.
Yeah,
mhm.
that is interesting. You strike me as a real Southern gentleman, though, with the whole how you approach that.
I'm definitely a hopeless romantic or
Very.
romantic.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like calling myself hopeless, but
You
Yeah.
grew up in Mississippi.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Still, my whole family's still there. My dad's side brothers always like to say their names are Larry, Barry, Perry, Donnie, and Ronnie.
5 boys.
But actually,
5 boys.
Yeah.
that's actually everyone's name.
That's everybody's
That's
name.
incredible.
Yeah, my
Wow.
grandmother was on one, I guess, when she did that. I mean, I grew up that way. My dad is that way.
Still that way.
Still
yeah.
that way. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Open doors. I tried to come talk to you before you had to come talk to me, so you wouldn't have to approach me. But I was lied to, so I couldn't do it.
Mm.
But yet you were going to.
I was going
he was
to,
going
and I tried even after the fact, but I couldn't find you.
But the
Yeah.
dream growing up in Mississippi was not to be a musician necessarily, was it?
No, not even close. I have played music my whole life and always loved it. Had a drum set since I was 2. My dad played drums in this band. I found pictures of them. They look like the Beatles. They look
So
really
funny.
official. I thought it was the Beatles, I think, when I found the picture. My older brother played drums. He plays everything. My younger brother actually he can sing some Miranda Lambert harmonies. He loves, my young brother loves Miranda Lambert.
He is has artistic.
He's very
thing, but
creative,
he's not music.
incredible writer, vlog writer, could write a book.
Yeah.
He's a youth pastor back home.
Photographer.
Yeah.
Photographer.
She always puts an R in the word photographer.
I'm like, fine.
But yeah, I've always loved music. I started a praise band in high school. It makes me sound better than I am. I think I did it just so I could play drums at school, and I was at a Christian school. Thought I was going to play golf. Back to our golf story. I wanted to play golf in college. When I was 12 years old, I quit playing everything else and just played golf. I played basketball too, but focused on golf. Kind of was on tour back then too. Me and Dad would go to a different city every single weekend, different tournament,
Wow.
and we would do that. I played in the AJGA, which is American Junior Golf Association, and SJGA, all of it.
Oh, tour for golf, not tour for music.
Yeah. But
wow.
we were gone every weekend like a music tour, you know.
Yeah.
I was just in a hotel room with Dad, and so I did that. My junior year, I got offered a full ride to play golf to Delta State, which is North Mississippi. Ended up getting a smaller scholarship to Southern Miss also to play golf. In the meantime, my friends talked me into playing baseball my senior year. On the day of the first game, I'll never forget, we had a good team. They said, we need one more guy. We know you played till you were 12 and you're always on the all-star team or whatever. I went out to the field, fielded a bucket of balls, hit one bucket in the cage, started in the game that night because my school was tiny.
Stop.
My school was tiny. Like,
Oh my god.
there wasn't like I was having to beat people out.
Your school was tiny and you're also a freak athlete. So there's
Well,
that.
I don't know what happened. I can't remember that far, but started that night, ended up having a good year. And I was 6'4" and left-handed. So at the end of the year, Southern Miss, who's in the same town, Hattiesburg, offered me a scholarship for baseball. And I told my coach, I was like, shut up. This is a joke. I thought you were kidding. They had also come to watch me in a game. I struck out 3 times on the same pitch. Like, it was bad. It was bad. And they still offered me a scholarship.
Wow.
So I'm a gut feeling type of person. I felt like I could play golf till I was 90. So I'm like, I'll never get to play college baseball again. I'm going to go do that. So I called this golf coach who didn't even know that I played baseball and said, never mind, I'm going to go play baseball. And I was right. I could still play golf, which I'm glad I did that. And so 2 years later, I was walking into the College World Series and we played in that, and
Dang.
kind of where I got my first taste of playing in front of 30,000 people and loving it. That morphed into getting drafted, I got drafted late to the White Sox and the minors and all that stuff. It was a glorified, we'll pay for your travel to get here and try out, basically. So nothing major. But in the meantime, my teammates all played guitar, like acoustic guitar, and I played drums. We had bands and all that stuff. And I had started picking up their guitar and fumbling around, learning some like Gavin DeGraw, Amos Lee songs, stuff like that. And they kept telling me I had a cool voice and that I should sing in front of somebody. And I responded, absolutely not. That sounds terrifying. I don't want to sing in front of anybody ever. And so behind my back, they went and booked me 3 shows. They said, they came back, they're like, we have booked you 3 shows at these small bars in Hattiesburg. You have to show up and sing now.
Wow.
And they all sold out because of baseball, not because I had any idea how to sing. And I just kind of fell in love with it. So at that point, that's when I went from maybe going to play minor league baseball to I'm moving to Nashville and I'm going to try this music thing. And so it was a random ride from golf to baseball to music to even being in Nashville at all to meeting my wife. I mean, the whole thing.
It's hilarious.
My high school baseball coach who talked me into playing baseball my senior year, whenever I see him, I'm like, you changed the entire course of my life.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't say, come play baseball, I wouldn't know you. I probably would never be in Nashville. It's funny how just like one thing
Mm-hmm.
can change so much.
Would you describe Adam as a yes man, MacKinnon? Because I'm thinking like all these kind of random things. Hey,
Mhm.
come try for the baseball team. Okay. Come play at the bar. You know, you could have just not gone and played music. You know,
I would
she
have
could-
said no. I would have
Right.
absolutely said no.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself a yes man, but I do
You-
believe I can do anything. So
What's the
that's
thing we
kinda,
always say in the music industry? You have
delusional
confidence. He has this
Love
yeah,
thing. where he'll
delusional
just be like-
optimism. Yeah,
he's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, well, you've never done that before. So I can do it. I'm like, okay. Whereas like I would overthink it and spiral, and there's 100 reasons why I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, it'll work out. It'll work out.
It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine.
And I'm like, yeah, but you could not, let's talk about those things. But I would say, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say like yes man, but super confident and kind of like you said, follows his gut. Be like, yeah, this feels good. I'll do it. Like, but like up and moving to Nashville, like that's, I know.
What was I doing?
And his dad owns a business in Hattiesburg that the plan was essentially for you to take over, for him to take over the company, which would be amazing. And he'd be set for life and all those things. But instead,
my parents have been amazing with the whole thing.
Yeah.
As random as it's been, like the amount of
so
support
supportive.
that they've given me. I mean, I literally was working as an electrician at this company. It's an electric company, and I've worked there my whole life and was 2.5 years into the 5 years that you need to be ready to take over. And just walked into his office and was like, by the way, I'm moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's almost to the point of like, oh, you play guitar and sing? Like, it was that new. And he handled it so well. And still to this day, he's as excited about every song coming out as I am, for sure. Maybe more. That part has been great. And have y'all read Green Lights, the Matthew McConaughey book?
I've listened to it.
So you've never read it. So you've never read it, but you've listened to
To be
it.
fair, that's a good one to listen to.
It is way better to listen to. That one
his voice
specifically.
is...
Is it actually him?
It's actually him.
Interesting.
And I read it before the audiobook came. I got it like the day it came out. But there's a story in that book. He talks about his mom growing up. I think he was like 11 or 12 years old, and she entered him in Little Mr. Texas. The whole book, for anybody that doesn't know it, is he's going back through his journal. He's journaled his whole life, and he's kind of reevaluating through his journaling. And he's going back and looking at these photos of him winning Little Mr. Texas. And he looks at it closer 30 years later. He's looking at the photo and he's holding the trophy. And he looks a little closer and he can see on the trophy it says runner up. And so he's like a 40-year-old man calling his mom now going, Mom, you told me I won Little Mr. Texas. This trophy says runner up. And his mom goes, yeah, but honey, they had way more money than us and really you deserve to win and the whole thing. And I was like, that was my mom.
100%.
I think I have the delusional thing because my mom and both my parents really have just kind of made me believe that I could pull off whatever I dreamed up. I think because of that, I've always been chasing after something just a little bigger than normal. I think that kind of explains why I've done what I've done, and I'm still that way. And I don't know that I would survive in a normal 9 to 5, just a normal life. I like working for myself, and I like creating and being in charge of something. And so the music industry, while it's impossibly hard and so difficult, has allowed me to do that. And so a part of me, even when it is really hard and really brutal, which it can be, still loves the chase of that and trying to figure it all out. So I think that kind of explains it.
I want to hear more about the delusional optimism, because this strikes me, I think it actually ties back to faith and, the bar named Jesus. And it's not the purpose of faith is not like confidence or optimism, but it's a fruit of faith. It's so impactful, whether you're talking about Vanderbilt football, going out and beating the number 1 team, Alabama, like you have to have the delusional confidence. Or even I was doing some research on Alexander the Great, because he's like one of the people that came closest to conquering the world, right? And turns out like he's this young guy when he becomes king, and he's like crippled by insecurity. His dad got tragically murdered, and he's like, I'm not worthy of this, right? And the mom sees him in this role struggling for a while. The mom pulls the son aside and after like a year or so says, hey, that actually wasn't your dad that got murdered. You're the son of a god. It shifted his identity in a lot of ways. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I got this. I like, obviously that's a weird kind of way to go about it, but it just strikes me as such a different way to live life with that type of delusional optimism that is very much a choice. I think some people may be prone to it easier than others, but is this a common concept in music?
I would say I don't necessarily know in entirety like the music industry, but I do think so much of what the way he is his parents. Like I think that at a young age, it was always like, oh, you want to go do this? Okay, great. Oh, you want to go play this sport? Sure, you can do this. Your parents really never told you no in that regard.
A little bit of golden childness too. Yeah. Like whatever it was, I immediately assumed I better be good at it. Like I need to go show up for the family. It's
been a good and learning thing for you in our relationship of being like, that's not why I love you. Like I don't need you to like overperform for me to love you.
That part was so hard for me.
Because he would like go and do all these things and I wouldn't react in the way that he wanted. And I think that was kind of this like dial it back of like, that's not our dynamic. of like, you go do that and that's wonderful and have confidence in that, but that's not needed in our relationship.
That was hard to get used to for me.
Well, because you were used to like, oh my gosh, you crushed it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Type of
and
stuff.
constant
Well, also
praise.
think about my world. I mean, I'm literally always on a stage in front of people that are saying something like, oh my God, you crushed it. So good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just compliments, compliments, compliments. And then you come back home. And, for a while there, it's like, I used to call it re-entry because I would be out on the tour bus for 4 or 5 days. And the whole world revolves around me. Like, everybody out there is working for me. They're either my band or my crew or fans that have bought a ticket to see me. And so you can get caught up in that sometimes, and you get home and you're like, why aren't you excited to see me? What the heck? Once I figured that out, I was like, okay, take 10 minutes. Remember what's happening. She's been home without you all weekend, having to do
living
everything.
my life. Like, my life doesn't just stop because you go on the road.
Yeah, so that was definitely a thing.
Which I have been on the road with you, so I understand it. Like, you get wrapped up in that world, and then you come home and you're kind of like, okay, the world didn't, our normal lives didn't stop just because we went out on the road.
It's definitely
and
not
traveled.
normal out there. Yeah.
Because your business acumen and resume is very impressive in and of itself. What's the favorite role you've ever had?
It's funny, whenever I talk about like what I would, go do or want to do, I'm very detail oriented. So I like anything to do with operations, like how something functions and flows and gets from A to B. I'm not the big picture person. I'm like, I want to like talk about all the details. Not necessarily can even come up with the idea. But if you have an idea, like I can help you get from A to B with all the details in between.
You've been very type A in all your stuff. Like the home edit, you were like if people wanted to book the home edit and all that stuff.
I just think of myself as type A, like I'm a chill type A. Like I don't know if people met me if they'd be like, "Oh, you're so type A," but I am very type A with like certain things.
Have you always been like that, or is that because you married not a type A?
I think I've always been that way.
Okay.
I think also just I'm the firstborn.
Yeah.
And my parents got divorced. I feel like I've always just kind of been the like just take control of whatever the situation is, which was hard in our relationship because it's like his response is you can't control everything.
But you can.
But I can try.
Yeah, like I'm gonna try, and so trying to find that balance of not trying to control every single thing, which is also very hard when you have kids. Because I'm like, oh yeah, you cannot really control anything. You can do your best and show up, but I would say that type A-ness, I just never really thought of myself as type A. Like even in school, I could have been an A student. I didn't care enough to be an A student. I liked being a B student. Like I'm good with the B. I can put in this amount of effort and I can get a B, but like, why get it? Like, why spend another, 7 hours and get an A?
But you were literally controlling that.
Yes, 100%. I was like, I'm controlling the outcome of getting a B versus like trying to get an A. But
my parents would kill me if I said I'm good with a B.
I mean, I didn't tell my parents that, but I also played sports. So that was like, that's what I love to do. So the school aspect was just kind of you have to go to school and you got to get, good grades, get into college.
She is best teammate or friend or whatever she needs to be. If she's your friend, if she's your wife.
Very loyal.
Most loyal person I've ever met.
Yeah. Kind of like ride or die.
She's absolutely ride or die.
To maybe a fault.
If we met today and you guys were, say you still played for Vandy and she had never heard of who Vandy was and y'all had a game this weekend, we would go home after this podcast and we would turn the TV on and watch the game this weekend. And by the end of the first quarter, she'd be saying, we should have scored there.
I'd like have merch.
She just hops on board with the people she loves really well. I feel like that's kind of how all your relationships have been.
Yeah, which it's funny. I don't think of myself that way. And then that's a constant theme when, people are like, oh, describe her. That's always something that comes up, which it's funny. My brother said that. I think it was one Christmas we were like going around saying what we loved about everybody, which was
love it.
The movie version of Christmas.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
It was literally like you had to say something about the person next to you. It was like,
you love it.
why am I sitting next to this? Even though you love everybody, but it's your family. And my brother was like, ride or die, which goes back to being the oldest, divorced parents. Kind of like I sheltered him from a lot of that experience when we were younger, and still now. Like I just think about like Drew, like she'll have to do that for the boys. Yeah. It's just like something with like younger brothers. My brother's like, hey, like on my mom's birthday, what do we get mom for her birthday? And I'm like, I'll Venmo request you. Like, we'll sign the card. I'm like, I'll handle it. It's fine. So that's like, I guess, type A, and then being a girl, an older sister. So
McKinnon's loyal. But before the show, we were talking about how you value good feedback. I mean, we know several musicians, but one thing that has been really fun with you is you've almost included us with your songs in a different way that it's been so fun. You're like, hey, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, you hear them
And
before they come out. Yeah.
Which is so much fun. It's like, I'm in a special club here. It feels like.
When you gave the little private concert, I was like, I felt like a 4-year-old. I was like, this is so cool.
You were cheesing the whole time.
Became #1 fan.
Yeah, and that was cool for me because I'm not the type, I undersell myself most of the time. So like I would never show up to that weekend even assuming that you guys knew my music at all. So when I started playing and Erica knew, but like she was a big fan, which I had no idea, and you guys knew songs. I was like, oh, it's awesome. I had no idea that you guys even listened.
Something that's so interesting about Nashville though, and like the friend groups that you find, I feel like there's such a difference between the personality and the person. I obviously knew your music. As you were giving the concert, I'm like trying not to sing it. I'm like, don't be weird. This is weird.
It's not weird though. I would enjoy that.
But it's that whole thing of like you respect so many people within the industry, but as you're trying to make friends, you don't want to be like, oh, I am a fan.
Hi.
Yeah.
You want to sign an autograph?
Yeah.
Like it's the person versus the personality.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see that so intertwined in your personality
Yeah.
and your person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're so free to share it, which is really special.
Speaking of sharing, he's like, I would never talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be like at a bar and somebody will start talking about, and they just all of a sudden they're like talking about his career and like but you're not you do undersell yourself and you're not talking about it in a cocky way at all. You just love to talk about it and love to like bring people into the mix. I'm like surprised you haven't played music for like, random people. Like we met, who was it? Russell Brand in Florida. And they were like talking about music.
The actor guy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice.
But he was randomly in Florida and Adam just like went up and talked to him. They were just having a conversation about me. But like, that's kind of your vibe. You're just kind of like, it's not this thing that I think sometimes people put things on a pedestal. Like it's so far to reach. And I feel like you kind of bring it back down. Like it's an art that you possess.
But I think that's a beautiful form of humility. It might be the definition where it's not thinking too much of yourself or too little of yourself. It's like, no, dude, I can say, you're not out there saying that, but it's like you're good at singing. And so it's something you enjoy. It's a passion.
Yeah.
You're not hiding it out of like a false humility.
Yeah.
I appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But how is MacKinnon's feedback with your songs?
Very, I mean, she either likes it or doesn't really. It's literally
like
that. It's not, she doesn't know anything about music. She doesn't know that.
I'm not a big music person, to be honest,
And
which is very interesting.
She's more of a
married to
podcast
musician.
listener, and
I just don't like, I get in the car, I don't know
every
about
song that she knows, she doesn't know.
who it is.
Yeah, it's not like this is called Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. It's going to be like, this is called Use Somebody, and it was in that movie. What was it called? Like, everything is a soundtrack.
I'm very nostalgic.
It's a
so-
reference to a movie for her is what all music is, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I did a cover of Dare You to Move by Switchfoot,
Nice.
and it's been going pretty viral online, and everybody that hears it goes A Walk to Remember. Yeah, it takes everybody back to the movie A Walk to Remember. So, I mean, music does that to a lot of people.
But as far as feedback goes, the balance is hard. I think at the very beginning of our relationship, it was like, new music, this is amazing. And when he was writing a ton, 5 days a week or whatever, I'm like, okay, that's a lot of songs that we're coming home with. I'm like, love it. Yeah, okay. And there's some that are really good, and there's some that I'm like, just no. But then if I hear one that I want to listen to multiple times, that to me is always like, okay, I like that song.
Yeah.
And I make sure I tell you that.
Oh yeah, she's honest about it.
I'm good about
There's
that.
no like, yeah, that's good, babe. None of that.
But there'll be times where his team or somebody will say like, oh, this is the one we like. And I'm like, that's great for you and your team. I don't like that.
Is MacKinnon's on base percentage pretty good? Like, of the ones that she likes, do they usually pan out well? Or the ones
she's got a good track record.
Yeah, and the one that I didn't like.
That's the worst, when she doesn't like one and I do, and I put it out and it doesn't do well. She's like,
And it's not that it's a bad song. It's not my favorite. It's not my vibe. And so it was like, you do you, but I love it.
That's funny.
By Heart was one of her favorites.
Yeah.
It was
I
her
love that
favorite,
one.
I think, at the time.
Still my favorite right now.
Super good.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Wait, can you share the one that you said you might not release? It's about moms.
Oh yeah.
All moms go to heaven. Yeah.
Is that coming out or not?
Maybe. I don't know. I've got to
Hopefully.
decide. It's got to. I was thinking about putting it around Mother's Day or something.
For sure.
Not that it has to be around Mother's Day, but
It would make sense.
it would make sense.
Adds
It's
up.
right
Yeah.
there. I have that song, and I have another one. I can't remember if I sent this one to you or not. Probably not. I think it's too new. It's called Playing Catch.
Mhm.
And it's inspired by being a dad, but it's about me and my dad and just how he must have been looking at me when I was that age. And that's something that you never really think about until you have a kid. But that song makes me cry. Like, I rarely make my own self cry, but that one does. So I thought about maybe doing like a All Moms Go to Heaven and Playing Catch, one for mom, one for dad, Mother's Father's Day situation. But I love All Moms Go to Heaven. I think it'll definitely come out at some point, but I still have to produce it. So it's just a acoustic work tape right now.
How has the career trajectory changed since having Jack?
We've been in a weird place.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad
No,
way.
but why?
part of it was October of 23, right?
Yes, I'm September.
And
October.
then we were already pregnant. And so we knew that, Jack was coming in March and he had a tour scheduled. So we kind of had to adjust that tour because he obviously wanted to be home for birth and whatever. And so I think you went on tour, 4 weeks after or 6 weeks?
Yeah, I had a show 4 weeks after.
Yeah.
It was, it's like 2 shows. I was gone for 2 days and then I'm back home. But still, you don't really want to leave. But the way where the tour was before we moved it, I didn't want to have any chance of not being home or like being in Boston or something. And she calls and says I'm headed to the hospital. So we moved it. But yeah, it's been actually a godsend, to be honest. I signed a record deal 2 months before COVID. Famous, which was the song that kind of got everything going for me, was like about to go gold independently. And I signed my first record deal and got a great record deal. And then that was 2 months before COVID happened. And it was about to go to radio. And that was supposed to be the thing that really made it take off and make me super rich and famous and all that good stuff. And none of that happened. COVID happened. And the rest of my time at Sony was just kind of fizzled a little bit. TikTok came into the picture that infused thousands of new artists like every label was just signing up, and you just kind of got lost in the shuffle. So in 2023, while those 3 years were good and I did fine, didn't do the thing I wanted it to do. And so I ended up asking out of that record deal. They let me out of the deal, luckily. And so that was a huge game changer for me because it meant I owned my music again. And so every release I've had since 23 is owned by me. I own the masters, and all those 3 years before, Sony collected every single penny of all of that income. So I had to go out and play 140 shows a year to make money. That was my only source of income, was basically shows. And so leaving the label, while it was a scary thing to do, it changed all that for me. I now have mailbox money, essentially. Like, streaming pays me, and that's how I make really all of my money now, because we've been off the road. And it's been incredible. I've been able to be home. I've barely missed a day of Jack's life, honestly.
It kind of blows my mind because obviously, like, I think our generation growing up, like, at least my dad, like, he worked 9 to 5, picked me up from school, whatever. Most dads, which I feel like you're home or with the kids a lot, Jack doesn't know that this is maybe not as normal, you know, that he's so lucky that he gets both parents home all the time. It just is such a special thing for him, I feel like, to get both parents. And it's not this, I don't feel like I get burnt out as easily as I would if I was doing it all the time by myself. We split so much of the roles.
I mean, we've really never even had a babysitter. Like, I mean,
we've never had a babysitter
other than your mom.
Yeah.
And your mom's great. She came on the couple trip with
She
us.
was literally
She came too. We brought our baby and a babysitter. Yeah,
I was like,
forgot about
hi,
that.
we've never met, but we're bringing my mom
I
and my
baked
baby.
cookies with her.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, we're just
She's
entering
with
this
Jack
group.
right now.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's been honestly really, really wonderful that he's still working. It's just essentially more remote.
It's still
than it
24/7
is.
work and around the clock.
Yeah.
And you know how it is with social media stuff and all that good stuff. But it has been really great to have this time with him. And I don't know if he will remember this time, but like, even just for
I
me.
feel like emotionally they know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, it's been special. So now the goal is to get back.
Do you have a show booked? A
Yeah,
tour booked?
I'm kind of in a place right now where I'm ready to get back on the road. I miss it, but I'm not ready to leave them at home.
Yeah.
So what we just announced was an acoustic tour called the Dream House Acoustic Tour, a song that was in the folder that I sent you guys. It's out now, and so we're doing almost like pop-up shows. So we just announced the first one. We're announcing one at a time. And in Chicago, we normally can sell like 1,500 tickets. So instead of going to sell 1,500 tickets in one night, we're going to do like 3 or 4 nights in a row in the same city at like 250 or 300 tickets and make these really small, intimate shows, just me and a guitar, just like at the house that night. It'll just be something like that. Can tell the stories, and I'm bringing Mac and Jack. On the poster, we announced they're actually the openers.
Special
guests. Awesome.
With support from my wife and son. So we're doing it that way. So we're easing back out on the road, and then next year hopefully we'll get back with the whole band and the tour bus and all that good stuff and do it right. But this will be a nice walk back in, and we can kind of
slow re-entry.
Yeah, we can all go together and turn it into weekends and cities we love and do it that way.
The shows do start at 8 though. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to work that out. Also, several people have asked if you were a singer, because some people are taking it literally that you're opening.
You're opening.
So you maybe need to learn one song.
Absolutely not.
Just something.
I will not.
What about the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem?
America?
Yeah, God bless America.
National anthem.
She loves patriotic music.
Yeah.
At least in the shower.
Yeah, I do. But I would. Yeah.
You get some Lee
I like
Greenwood.
sing them.
You get in the shower and you get
Yeah.
You go for God Bless America and then plug the national anthem.
And then there's some other ones I throw in there, but yeah, those are the ones you can like really feel. I would never sing those in front of other.
It goes back to the team thing. She's on America's team. She's like, she
big
loves
American,
big,
like, love sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm just like, yeah, I
I
really
love that your go-to shower song is the
Why?
national anthem.
Why?
Isn't she lovely? Stevie Wonder. is
Oh,
always
yeah, that's
one
of my
the
faves.
go-to. Yeah.
Like when you find like that random fact about yourself that you have to share. It's like I sing the national anthem in the shower.
That's what I sing. Yeah.
God Bless America.
I need to maybe like find some new music to sing in the shower, but
yeah, maybe so.
I gotta show you Jet the other day on the way to school. He learned to say the Pledge of Allegiance, which I thought that was just in our era kind of thing. I thought
right.
still do
They're
it.
teaching it at school.
Okay.
Still does it at 3, so he was just doing it. He put his hand over his heart and closed his eyes like it was a prayer, and then he was having trouble saying
Indivisible.
Indivisible.
That's a tough word.
He's an individual.
Individual.
Yeah, it was so cute.
it is also kind of hard. That's all hard.
Yeah.
Well, and we also do the Lord's Prayer before bed every night, and both Drew and Jet know it start to finish.
Yeah.
But instead of debtors, they say daughters.
And you can't change
And I'm like,
it.
I can't change it.
No. It has to be daughters.
So cute.
I feel the
so
same
cute.
way. It's like you don't want to change those little cute things they do.
know.
No, because
Jack
eventually
hasn't
somebody
started
will
yet,
correct
but
them.
yeah.
It's like, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
We used to do that too. We said the Lord's Prayer every night.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
got to the place where we can read before bed and he's not trying to eat the book. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're.
Yeah.
That's big.
Did you ever get those
Big step.
indestructible books?
No, remember we talked about this. I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're still in
Someone
the phase.
gifted it to us.
Okay, we should look into it
But they can literally eat it and it's not going to do anything.
Because I got him a book the other day. We went to Magpies and I got him a book and he's in the back. And then we get out of the car and half the cardboard is chewed. I was like, okay, well, hopefully you're fine.
Yeah.
Do you remember that phase where they used to just eat and rip every single book?
It's frustrating when it's like the good book too. It's the book that they want to read.
That's also gross.
Yeah.
Like, why are we eating a book?
Would you
Kids.
say being a parent has helped or hurt your creativity?
That's a good question. I'd say a little of both. I mean, a lot of my creativity comes from being out on the road, being on tour, being in different cities all the time, meeting different people. I have a running list in my phone of just ideas and titles that just never ends. And so I'm always writing stuff down. Being home so much is a little bit harder in that aspect where you're not having as many new experiences with people. And, a lot of titles are just things that people might have said in conversation. Like you guys might say something in a minute where I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can spin that this way.
Mm-hmm.
Actually wrote one down while we were on our trip. Somebody said she don't fit in. And I was like, oh, that's a cool title because you can spin that. It sounds like maybe she's got a group of friends that she doesn't fit in with or something.
Yeah.
But really I was going to spin it as like, I don't really want my life to look like any kind of picture that she doesn't fit in. That she don't fit in. And like that's how my brain works. When somebody says something, I'm thinking, oh, that's a
This
cool way to
happens all the
flip
time.
that.
And he'll be like, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm writing down the title. Yeah. Also, who are y'all talking about? Doesn't fit in.
No, I think
like,
It was- it had nothing-
shove in the car or something like
Yeah,
that.
it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with
There's
what
like
I'm
12
saying.
of us in one car.
I think you or
Yeah.
Walker said it. I can't remember who it was. I'll have to put one of your names on the song.
Perfect.
I remember
Um,
you telling the story though about, was it bikers in a bar who had
Yes.
the tattoo?
Puzzle of Us.
Puzzle of
Yes.
Us.
Yeah.
I loved that story.
That's one of my favorite stories. And Mac, she makes fun of me because, that song, I wrote that song like 2015, 16. It's
The
old. And I've told
embellishment
that
on that
story.
song.
That's a lot of fans' favorite stories. And I've told it a lot. And I truly can't remember what parts are actual
And he'll
factual.
tell it, and I'm sitting there, I'm like,
when you tell the same
That was
story
not part of
over
the
and
story?
over,
Yeah.
your brain just goes, we should probably add a little bit to it. I mean, I don't want to
Classic
say the
storyteller,
same thing
songwriter.
over and over.
Yeah.
But anyway, in that respect, I don't have, as many ideas written down probably from not being on tour, but also having a kid changes everything. It changed my heart a lot. It changed the way that I look at things, just the way I think about things. It's like changed the definition of love. I had no idea I could love something that much. It's like I tell Mac, I'm like, I would maybe jump in front of a car for you, but like I'll definitely jump in front of a car for you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's changed for the better in that way, I
And
think.
just your priorities. I feel like time, just in general, like you just don't have the time. You have to like, you had an 8-hour day, and now you kind of have like, okay, I have like 2 hours where I have uninterrupted time. Got to figure it out, which can be a little hard on the creative process, I would say.
It's just more focused. Like,
Yeah.
I used to go write. I would go write with, whoever's on my schedule. Now I'm just a little more detailed of like, I only want to write with the people that I know I love right now. If I'm going to leave my baby for 4 to 6 hours, I want to know that it's worth it. And so I've been writing less than normal, but getting more stuff that I love because it's, I know kind of what I'm walking into before I walk into it, if that makes sense.
This is okay.
This
So
is what
I'm
we're
doing
talking about.
I'm doing my dissertation on this this concept where it's like you're better and more effective when you're a parent, I think, just because of the time restraints that you have. And so you do, I think, more impactful activities.
Yeah, you want whatever you're doing to matter.
Yeah.
For sure. It's even like, I mean, I'll turn down like courtside seats to a basketball game.
I had
If
to
I don't want to
force
leave.
him out of the house to go to the Vandy game last night because he
And
was
then I'm
like,
sitting on the floor.
I don't think I can go. And I'm like, well, first of all, Jack's gonna be asleep,
Yeah.
so you should go.
But
And you did.
It's
You
definitely,
did.
I did go, and it definitely takes some getting used to. And I'm sure it'll be different with kid number 2 and 3. It's just our first one and our only time.
Oh no, it gets harder.
It gets harder.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
I actually thought that exact thing though. I thought like as a baby it would be the hardest, and then it would get easier as they got older, and easier as you get more. No, because
You
they
just get closer and closer
they
with
get
them.
cooler.
Yeah.
Like
And then
I
they
just
start
want to hang out with
know-
them.
That's the thing, and I don't know that everybody feels that way, which is teach their own, obviously.
Teach their own.
Which I'm lucky, which I'm sure you are too. Like I have friends who kind of feel the same way.
Yes.
So when we plan trips, it's like we're bringing the kids.
Yeah.
Or we're only going to go for this many days because we don't want to be away from the kids. And which we haven't left Jack yet.
No.
I don't have any plans to yet. I just like don't know when that first moment is. And we'd be like, yep.
Do you remember how
Leave
long?
him at home.
How old?
Yeah, how old was Drew when y'all left?
When y'all left for the first time?
It was within our first year,
Okay.
Yeah.
but we always have this threshold of like 2 nights, 3 days, kind
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
from when you leave to get home is like our max.
Okay.
If we're going without the kids, 2 nights, 3 days. If we go past that, nothing good happens.
Yeah.
We call that the Vegas rule.
Yeah.
Never stay in
The
Vegas for
Vegas
longer than
rule.
2
That's right.
nights.
Yeah.
But it's the
Yeah,
same with
that's
your
a good
kids.
rule.
It's like
Yeah.
they can make it 2 sleeps.
Right.
And they know mommy and daddy's coming back. We can have fun and not start to like spiral thinking like, why did we do this without our children?
Right. Right.
I feel like that's
But-
a good
Yeah.
that's a good amount of time.
That's good.
Yeah. But we've gone over that and we've learned very quickly, like, we're
not
never
work.
going to do this again.
Yeah.
I
No.
bet that's a terrible feeling.
It
I've
is. You
kind
just
of
wanna be
felt
home.
it. I think there was only one weekend where it was 3 nights, I
Yeah.
guess. There you go. And so
Yep.
it was in 3 nights and the better part of 4 days. And I was like,
Yep.
get me home.
You start
Yeah.
to feel like panicked.
Panicked.
Like,
Yeah.
You're just like,
I'm
I
like
need
looking
my
up red eye
kids.
flights, trying to get
Yes.
home before. I'm like, what can I do?
Especially on the road too, because so much of touring is
Yeah.
it's like it's this whole day.
yeah.
And then it's like this show, and then but like you just kind of sit around. And so
Yeah.
he'd be texting me like, I am miserable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well,
It's interesting. It kind of goes back to the creativity. And in my mind, I never thought I'd say this ever, but I feel like as I've gotten older and maybe because of kids, I've appreciated more of the finer things in life because there's less of these grand adventures. Like I think kids do tie you down to a certain extent.
Sure.
You probably want them to.
Mhm.
So you're not going on these massive weekend trips or traveling across the world like you used to, footloose and fancy free. And so it becomes more of like this sitting in the playroom and just being floored by, oh my gosh, my son wasn't saying this word yesterday,
Yeah.
but now he is today. And oh my gosh, I can't believe he could toss the ball a little further. Or, it's like you start to notice the small progressions and the subtleties a little more.
Mhm.
I would say your creativity will take off as a result of that because
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the awareness in a certain way gets enhanced.
You're also about to hit a phase with him where it just starts snowballing so fast.
I feel like we just did.
I feel like we just hit
Yeah.
it. He hit 11
right at that like
months.
11 month
Yeah.
mark.
And I'm like,
yeah.
oh.
They start walking and
Yeah.
talking and learning and playing, and they have a personality. It's just like,
We also laugh. We're like, are we too proud? Like everything he does. He now, like I was somewhere yesterday and he was just clapping for himself. And he was like, does he always do that? I'm like, yeah, he does. Because everything he does, we're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And the clapping is so cute too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like you kind of want him to do it. And we're like, I guess we need to maybe dial it back a hair so he doesn't go to
No.
school and think he
Well,
delusional.
Maybe.
Yeah,
optimism.
I mean, I'm a huge cheerleader, so I'm always 100% entertaining him. But he's like yesterday, he was, he's got this little thing where he's putting rings on top of it one at a time.
But he just figured out
I mean, I'm like, we're just full on
every
Yeah.
ring.
Full on
Every
applauding.
ring. And he does it for like
screaming.
10 minutes.
fun.
I looked at Mac. I'm like, can you imagine when he hits a home run or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're
He
gonna.
was like, what are you going to do?
We're
when
We're
he
not going to
plays
be able to
sports?
handle this
Yeah.
at all.
Somebody asked me this. They were like, when you became a mom, did it just like change your whole world?
Mhm.
And of course, it changed my world for the better. But
Mhm.
like, I don't ever feel like I wasn't a mom.
Mhm.
Like it just kind of like
Yeah,
happened.
we just slid into it.
We
pretty,
did.
Pretty
Like
well.
I don't feel like it rocked our world maybe as much as it does some, but I also don't think that was our personality in the first place.
Mm-mm.
Like it's kind of just been amplified everything better.
Mm.
It didn't like take away my freedom as much as maybe it does for some people.
I also think something happens to us. I don't know how to say
Us.
that. People who are similar this
Yeah,
way with
yeah.
parenting, who want to hang out with their kids in that
Yeah.
sense. I can never imagine myself not being a mom.
No.
So like, I don't look back at days and say, oh, if only it was like that. It's
Mhm.
almost like it rewrote all the history.
Yep.
Mhm.
I've always been a mom. That's the only thing. And I don't ever want to go back.
And you're kind of like, well, what was my purpose before?
Yeah.
Not that like, but I just feel like I'm kind of like, okay, this feels right.
Yeah.
This feels like where I'm supposed
This
to be.
is one of my favorite things that's happened as a dad, watching her, because
Yeah.
she's been our entire relationship. She's been watching me chase this music dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's all she's ever known, except for the first week when it was four-wheelers. But it's all she's ever known is watch me chase this thing and have this passion for this thing. And she's never had this career that she
Yeah.
had to have.
Mhm.
The only thing she's always had since our first date, we talked about on the first date, her dream was to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
She had 8 years of watching me, or 7 years of watching me chase this dream. And I just got to start watching her chase her dream, which has been really fun for me. And she's such a good mom. Everything I tell her, she's like, being a dad is so easy because she's such a good mom.
Mm.
And so, and so that's been special for me. Is like, I had to wait a long time to get to watch her chase a dream, but I do now, which is
It is
great.
funny too. So I stopped working in December.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working up until that point, and when I would go to work, honestly, it was a break. Okay, I could like sit at a computer for like hours and kind of
Yeah,
zone out.
work
I
is
can
now
like
your
go to
break.
the bathroom by myself or
Oh,
like all
yeah.
these things, but it is exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they start moving. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, can we just chill for 5 minutes?
Just
'Cause they
sitting
never
down in a
stop.
chair. It's like
Yeah.
so nice.
It
right?
is
Play
so
with a
nice.
toy.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky. Like Jack sleeps 7 to 7 and has
Yeah,
since
he's
week
a great
8.
sleeper.
So I
Amazing.
mean, we've been lucky on that front.
But that's the thing is he sleeps hard, but he plays.
he
even
never stops
harder.
Oh,
during the day.
Yeah.
And she breastfed for a little over 11 months.
Dang.
We just had a situation where Jack just stopped. It was
Which
tragic.
is so his personality. I've learned this about him of just like people are like, oh, are you scared to like introduce him to this or that? Or like he's not going to be able to transition. No issue transitioning. He's just kind of like, but he does it on his own.
Mhm.
He's kind of like, I'm over it. I'm independent. Like I'm going to do
Well,
my thing.
he
I was
got-
supposed to play golf, but now I'm going to play baseball. Maybe
Lit-
maybe he gets it from
Wonder where
somewhere.
he gets
Maybe
it from.
that's me.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you're so right. I'm
He
like,
got-
I've never thought about it.
he
in
got
that way.
he got the croup, and then he just
The
stopped
croup.
breastfeeding, and then he never went back. Like
Yeah.
it's like he forgot that he ever was on the boob.
Doesn't care.
It's insane.
He like thinks it's funny too. He'll like
yeah, he
giggle.
just like, giggles when she tries to get him to, and just
I'll like lay him on my chest and he's like, nah. And I'm like, whatever. But it's just,
Yeah.
it's so funny how I do feel like he hit 11 months and it
Yeah.
was just like,
Different.
okay, so like, this is what we're doing. We're just like going with the flow, and which going with the flow is a little hard, but it's a good balance. I don't know if y'all are that way. I feel like you kind of have to have both. If you have two people who are too
Oh,
go
yeah.
with the flow,
I'm pretty good with the flow.
I am
She's
very
not.
type A.
yeah. Because then if you weren't, then there would be no flow.
we both
Alphabetize and categorize.
Yes.
Yeah.
we
100%.
both like to be in control for sure. I'm a control freak that also knows how to go with the flow.
Yeah, that's actually very true. You are a control freak, but
Mhm.
you are everything will work out.
Well,
Yeah.
am I wrong?
You know?
It does most of the time.
I mean, they work out, but maybe not the way you want them to.
Well, we
That's
should
a good way to be.
definitely get another couples trip on the books.
I
And you
know,
have
we
to
really
do
should.
that.
Quadruples.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Quadruple? There's 4.
Also, how's the beam going?
The beam's
Thank you
good.
for sending us some. Jack's
Yeah.
almost to where he can have it, right?
I mean,
it's a year.
I
Is
Two.
it-
also
is
like
it a
feel like
year?
I could
2.
drink it.
Oh, is it
right?
2?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a
It's
year.
2.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we can drink it. Yeah.
But I was with Lauren. She
should.
was like, "Oh, I drank it," and I was like, "Oh, I'll drink mine."
Yeah.
I want to know where the name came
It may
from.
not do anything for
As
me.
a songwriter in the room, where's the name?
Beam is technically a pre-existing company
Yeah.
Oh,
that
okay.
we didn't name.
So
Yeah.
you
Just a
partnered with.
coincidence.
Okay.
Just
a
a coincidence.
That's what I was getting at. I was
Yeah.
like,
Actually, I've never thought about that.
Because actually on
Yeah.
the back of the
Okay.
bag there is a beam.
yeah.
that they
I didn't
drew
know
on
that,
it.
but I saw
Yeah.
the name. I'm like, I wonder if that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. I did not.
The
I knew
amount
it was
of-
an existing
yeah.
company.
The amount of
so-
times I've been told like, "Oh, clever name." I'm like,
It would be good.
I
Thanks,
didn't
it
know
would
that.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the founder of Beam is one of his best friends.
Oh,
That's
cool.
why we
Oh, I
ended up
didn't know
partnering
that.
with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's
But
been
yeah,
fun.
it's been going really well. And our kids house it. So when he turns 2, I'll send you all the flavors.
Like he'll love it. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have
That's
one
it.
more question.
Please do.
Your song "Famous" you mentioned was supposed to be the breakout.
Also, the breakout. You're a huge name.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to me. I never assumed that I'm a huge name.
This has also been the theme of his career.
You're
Essentially,
huge.
is like these moments that we're gonna be this thing, and then like a pandemic happens. Like it's
Yeah,
not
we've
like,
had some bad luck for sure.
It's just like bad breaks.
I guess the question is twofold. One, do you feel like you've chased the dream and gotten it? And then 2, how has fame treated you?
I feel like I've chased it. I don't feel like I've gotten it. I feel very fortunate to be able to support my family by just making music. But as far as aspirations and where I want it to get to, no, I've not gotten it.
Interesting.
Which you're the type that will there ever be something?
Mhm.
I
that
do also. I would
is-
agree with you. I could probably sell out a stadium one day and be like, I could still do this.
I
or
need to
something.
do
That is the
this,
type
yeah.
I am. But even being realistic, I'd still like to see it continue to go a good bit further. With the idea that I'm super. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that I could make a good living writing songs and playing music, I'd have probably at that point said, "That's the dream. I got it." You know what I mean? So I've definitely extended the goalpost a little bit, but I'm still at the point where I love people. I love anytime somebody walks up at the airport and is like, "Are you Adam Doleac? Like, I love your music." I love that. Some people they'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to annoy you" or something.
Mhm.
Never gonna happen at this point. Maybe one day you get to a point where you don't want people to do that. I can't imagine that, but I just
It's not excessive enough too to where
I
it's
think
Yeah.
it's a
weird.
sweet spot. to
Yeah.
yeah,
fame.
there's a sweet
Like,
spot. So I still enjoy that. So as fame treats us just fine. I mean, it's not. It
It
sounds
doesn't-
weird to even say. Yeah, we're
I would
normal.
never even reference.
Yeah, we're so
that
normal in that world. So,
ever.
but I am the type that I would enjoy being really famous. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Like if it were can't leave the house famous, I'd probably be like
My
cool.
nightmare. Like no.
But I think it's so cool what you can do with that kind of fame.
Yeah.
That's always been the way I've looked at it. Is like when you have that kind of platform, you can make so many people's days so
Mhm.
fast just by like walking outside and saying hey. Or The Rock does a good job. He'll stop on those tours, so
I love those
he'll pull up
videos.
and just say hey to people. I always think that's really cool, and I think you can do. I always have way bigger dreams and things that maybe could happen, like Bar Named Jesus coming out. I'd love to start some type of soup kitchen, some way of giving back called Bar Named Jesus. I think that'd be awesome to lead people to Jesus, also do something good for people, whether that be with the homeless or the story is kind of about an alcoholic, and maybe it's something with AA or something like that. That's like a pipe dream of mine, is turn this song into something like that, a foundation or something that can give back. I think would be awesome. So whatever I'm doing, there's always a down the road idea that hopefully could happen with it. You just never know what's going to happen with these songs. And this one, like I said, I think it's the best song I've ever written. I think it's definitely the most important song I've ever written, content-wise. We haven't even mentioned this, but Thomas Rhett is a feature on the
Oh,
song.
let's go.
I guess I forgot. I should mention that.
Which
Oh,
was cool how that came about too.
I should tell y'all that story. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Please.
really cool. I knew Thomas, but not well. Not nearly well enough to send him a song and say, "Would you feature on this song with me?"
Have you golfed with him?
Never.
Oh man.
We keep trying. I've played in the tournament with him, but
Oh,
not in the
yeah.
same group with him. I was with her brother, Elliot. They've got a cabin in Swanee, and we were having a drink around a campfire, and I play Elliot songs from time to time, like I sent to you guys, because I feel like he's a good pulse on what's good and not. And I played him Bar Named Jesus, and he was like, "You have to send this song to Thomas Rhett right now." He's like, "That's one of the best songs I've ever heard." And I'm like,
And he knows Thomas.
And he knows
Okay.
Thomas.
I was about to say, is that a
loosely.
random?
He's
No.
really involved with Love One. So
Okay.
He leads
He has, like,
leads
some
trips over to
connection there.
Uganda, which Love One is their foundation, and they do
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So he knows Lauren really well and has gotten to know Thomas better. So he had his number, and so he ended up talking me into sending it to Thomas. And that's also like, if I were to pick a perfect feature for this
Yeah.
song, and he's a godly guy, he's a family guy. I feel like if you like Thomas's music, you probably like my music too.
Mhm.
And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I'd love to be able to tell you that. He texts right back and he was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm in. But that was not the story at all. It was 3 months later.
Yeah.
And I'd already just assumed that he
Written it
listened, hated it, didn't want to be a part of it, was never going to text back. And now knowing Thomas, he's just not a great texter. But, he's got a lot going on. He's
Yeah.
got 4 girls, and he's a
girls.
superstar. And
yeah.
I get it. But anyway, we're at the house one morning and my phone starts ringing and it says Thomas Rhett. And I'm like, well, I should probably step out and take this. And I answer the phone and he is crying. And I'm like, okay, what? We've never spoken on the phone before, ever. This is the first time. I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, man, I just had one of the biggest God moments I've had in several years, and I wanted to call and tell you. And so he had finally gotten around to listening to Bar Named Jesus, and he was going right down Hillsborough Road, right here in Green Hills. He said he had his windows down. He said he had it blasting. He was like in the second chorus, and he stopped at a red light, and there was a homeless guy sitting on the side of the road that actually stood up and asked him, like, hey, man, what is that song you're listening to?
I had chills.
Wow.
I got such chills when he was telling me this. And so he said, he told the guy to come over to the window, said they're at a red light, the light turned green, traffic's going by, and they're just listening to Bar Named Jesus. And he said the homeless guy started crying, and Thomas said he started crying, and that's when he called me and said, yes, I want to be a part of this song.
Wow.
He said, I think it's going to lead people to Jesus. I think this is a really special song. And he said, yes. And that was probably 6-8 months ago. It's taken some time to actually get his vocal on it and get in his schedule and all that stuff. But
Wow.
the song's finally out now and into the world. And most songs, it's like, I'll sit at home and stress, like, is it going to get this playlist? This one, it's been a bit more calm. I just feel like the fact that it landed in Thomas's world and he said yes. And it's like, I always say, I feel like I should put Jesus as a co-writer on this song, because it's honestly just like, I can't wake up and write something like this every day. It's just one of those songs. And I feel like it's God's kind of got this song and it's going to go where it's supposed to go. And that's kind of how I feel about it. And I feel like that's why Thomas is on it. And with him being a feature, I mean, so many more people are going to hear this song. And again, normally I'd be like, that's great for me and streams. But I really feel thankful that so many people are going to hear this song, and hopefully it's going to impact a lot of those people. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get the feedback from everybody out there.
What an act of delusional optimism to send it to Thomas.
There you go again. Yeah.
It's an unbelievable story. What's almost more unbelievable, though, is that you nearly neglected to share the freaking story. I'm like, what are we doing?
Well,
I kind of forgot about it, honestly. Yeah.
It's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
And,
that would have been really bad if I left without telling that story.
Yeah.
It is. You said you got chills when it was happening. I walked in. I was like, you're not going to believe what.
Especially because we had kind of given up on the whole idea of him even being a part of it.
Yeah.
And then that was the story he came back with. We were like,
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was
That's
really
incredible.
It was really cool.
Well, this is a real treat sitting down with you guys.
What a pleasant surprise on the
Thanks for
PR
having
sheet
us.
today.
Yes.
I
So
know.
fun.
Amazing. It's great to see you guys.
Great to see you guys.
For those listening that have not heard Adam's music, we'll link his information down below. Check out Bar Named Jesus, the new song. I love Adam's music because you do this thing. You have like a twang or something. I was trying to describe it.
Twang, huh?
Or whatever. You do like some style that is so
Yeah.
unique and distinct, and I love it.
Well, I only know how to sound like me, and that's a blessing and a curse. So I'm glad you like it.
It's great. But we'll include Adam's information down below, and I hope there's a next time.
Yes.
us too.
Likewise.
This is so fun.
And a next trip.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For sure.
for sure.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.